Okay, so today I'm going to go through a little bit of the Unit 10 review, hopefully answer some of your questions. So the first thing that you need to keep in mind is the difference between arithmetic and geometric sequences. Remember, arithmetic is when you are adding or subtracting. Geometric, it is specifically multiplying, but sometimes it looks like dividing. But remember, that's actually multiplying by a fraction. So this one, it's multiplying, and it might look like dividing, but it's actually multiplying by a fraction. So for the first three here, you just have to identify which one it is. Then you have to write both the recursive and the explicit formula for each. So if you need to look at your notes for those formulas, you can. Remember, there's an explicit and recursive formula for arithmetic, and then again for geometric. So there's 4 formulas in total, or it might be neither. So if it's not either one, then you don't write either one. So in your formulas, it looks like for the arithmetic for the explicit formula, you have AN equals, and then it says A1. Now you're going to replace A1 with what A1 actually is. And A1 is just your very first number. So that 5 right here. So I'm going to put 5. And then it has plus, and then in parentheses, n minus 1. And then d at the end. And d is what you are adding or subtracting by each time. So here, as you can see, to go from 5 to 12, 12 to 19, so on, it is plus 7. So I'm going to put a 7 here. Now we're almost done with this one, but you do have to distribute that 7 to the minus 1 and to the n. So then when you do that, you get AN equals, and you're going to have 5, and then you're going to have that minus 7 there, and then plus 7n. And then 5 minus 7 is negative 2. So your final answer is AN equals negative 2 plus 7n. And that would be the answer for the explicit formula for the first one. I'm going to erase all this and do the other one. Okay, so the other formula is the recursive. And for the beginning part of that, you are literally just rewriting. So you're going to write AN equals AN minus 1, and then at the end it says plus D, plus the difference. So since we are adding 7 every time, I'm going to put 7 at the end. Then you have to put what A1 is, and A1 is 5. And that is it for the recursive. And you have to have both of those for your full answer here. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing for number 3. Now number 3 is our geometric one. So I'm going to start with our explicit formula here. So again, a lot of it's just rewriting stuff. So I'm going to have AN equals, and then you have to replace the A1. So the A1, my first term, is 4. So I'm going to put 4 here. And then in parentheses, I'm going to put my R to the n minus 1. And my R is whatever I'm multiplying by each time. So to get from 4 to 1, 1 to 1/4, I am multiplying by 1/4. So I'm going to put 1/4 here. And that is it for that formula. Then I will show you the recursive formula. So again, I'm going to start with AN equals. And then we're going to put the R first. The R is that 1/4 that we already found. So we have 1/4. And then we have in parentheses AN minus 1. And then again, you want to say what A1 is. So A1 equals, and your first term is 4. So notice how in all of these, I'm really just plugging in my A1 and then that difference, whether it's adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, in both of these, you're just kind of plugging in. Okay, now on 4, 5, 6, and 7, you are just going from one formula to the other. So I'll just give you some hints on these ones. So for number 4, they give you your A1, so that's pretty easy just to plug into your formulas. You're just going to put 9 where A1 is. Your difference is the 4, so this is your D, and then this is your A1. And you're really just replacing those. Okay, now this one over here, this is our geometric one. So with those ones, your number in front there is going to be your R, or what you're multiplying by each time. So my 3 is my R, and then my A1 is 6. Okay, and then down here on these ones, your A1 is going to be the number in the beginning, and then your difference is the number that's in front of N. Now over here, the number that's in front is your A1, and the number in parentheses, that's your difference. Here, you can use either the explicit or recursive formula, and you want to write out the function for it. And you're going to treat these numbers here, that 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, that's kind of like your list of numbers. Here, again, you're determining whether it's linear, quadratic, or exponential. So for those, if you remember, linear is when you add or subtract. And it's the same thing, and that's in the first difference. Quadratic is the second difference. And then exponential, that's when you're multiplying or dividing, which we say it's always multiplying because even if you're dividing, it's multiplying by a fraction. All right, for number 12 here, you won't have Desmos on the test, so we'll just give you any graphs that you need. And you're going to fill out this chart. So really what you're going to do is you're going to put this 4, 5, and 6 into the x's in the equations. Oops, that one is just this x right here. So I'm going to put 4 in all of those and solve them. Put 5 in all of them, solve. 6 in all of them, solve. And this one, when does h of x surpass the other two equations? You want to see when does this one become bigger than the ones over here. All right, here you use Desmos. So you're going to enter the first part into one line of Desmos, the second part into a second line of Desmos, see when the equations cross, and that's your solution. Substitution, you set the equations equal to each other. So you would have 2x plus 6 equals x squared plus 12x plus 32, and then you would solve that. So first get it set equal to 0, and then you're going to factor. Remember, factoring is that x in the box. And then for these ones, don't forget if you have a greatest common factor to take that out as well. Then we have elimination. For elimination, you're going to multiply your first equation by -1 so that you get a negative y equals negative x squared minus 1. And then you add straight up and down, and again, factor. For these ones, a lot of people get confused on the second part here, on these things like the x is less than or greater than or whatever. I would graph the entire line first if that helps you, and then just erase the part that you don't need. So for example, let's just do this one right here. So if I have f of x equals 3, that's kind of like y equals 3. So that would be a dot at 3 and then a line all the way across. It's kind of off, but you get the picture. So I only want this when x is greater than 0. So technically, I only want this half of the line. So I can kind of scratch out this half, erase it if you're writing in pencil, and then you're only going to leave the half that you want. So I would do that for all of these. And then for these ones, this is writing a piecewise function is what we just did up here. So these things, you're writing your own. And then on number 22, you have to label your own x and y axis. I see a lot of people wanting to do this, like make a cross in the middle. You don't need that. Your numbers should be listed on the bottom, like 0 5, 10, 15, whatever you're counting by. And then you should have, I think, 2 or 3 equations for this one. So we have if you buy 5 gallons or less, what you pay. If you buy more than 5 gallons, what you pay. So this one will have 2 different lines. And remember, you want to write the equations for those and then make an X and Y chart for each of those. So you should have 2 X and Y charts to help you graph each of those. And it should end up looking like a piecewise function like this. Not exactly like those lines, but 2 kind of separate lines. All right, hopefully that helps you with any of your major questions on this review. If you need additional help, sign up for a PLT or ask questions in class.